Happy traffic jam in a far distance. I don't know for sure what will happen, even if I'm still alive tomorrow. By default, putting our affections easily and quickly can make our emotions mellow at that time. But it makes the future uncertain if it's an inappropriate choice. The people I met taught me so many lessons about the concept of love, about how to interpret love, and about life in simple, unrepentant things. Perhaps because of that, unfinished things are always the things that make people remember forever. After all, we all have to know how to love to be good, but sometimes it is also necessary to learn to accept and love to be satisfied with the life of a not so lucky enough, as long as you control your emotions and realize the need, at least, is in his own mind. Youth that, as long as we see right, means that it will never be wrong. And most of all, if we were ever honest with each other, from the very beginning, we would have had nothing to regret. After graduating from school with a good degree, it was difficult for Lam to be admitted to a company specializing in communication. Although knowing that the new job has a salary that can't be called too good compared to the common ground of recent graduates, Lam is satisfied with his start. He believes that everything will be better when he understands more about work and life. He really wanted a stable job, more than what he had to go through during his 4 years of college. The day he entered the school, Lam thought a lot about his definitely must-go-to-college choice. Lam's family situation is not well off, if not poor. He is the second brother of 3 younger siblings who are still at school age. Mom didn't say it, but she didn't know how to take care of Lam for 4 years at university. Lam understood that, so right from the day he stepped foot in the city, he went to apply for a job by himself. Starting from handing out flyers at intersections, to helping at a restaurant in a small alley near where he stayed. Lam's 4 years of university are 4 years that he has had to trade a lot. Many people say that it is the time when everyone should find a love for themselves. But Lam never thought about it, or rather didn't want to spend time thinking about it. He didn't dare to be moved and was afraid of feeling caught up in love, because he was guilty of what he had at the moment, an empty hand. Unfortunately, emotions are inherently not something we can control. At that time, Lam used to have feelings for a person who studied 1 course above him. It was not necessarily love, but when Lam knew the other's family background, he took the initiative to create distance. Because it was a world that someone who was born and raised in poverty, would never be able to reach. Later, when we look back at our youth, we will see how stupid we were. It is the age of many confusing thoughts and complexes, such as not daring to approach a person because they feel that they are not worthy, not suitable, not brave enough, any reason, of course not for not love. Or as in some stories, we always try to ask questions and wait for answers. But when we are about to respond, we avoid the answers. Youth also became a very strange age because of that. In fact, defying to fall in love with Lam is a very difficult concept to implement. Lam couldn't do it. What he wanted then, and even now, was a stability to be able to support his parents and take care of his younger siblings. Happiness with Lam is definitely still at a distant distance. Nodding to the janitor and holding a cup of ready-made coffee in the hallway of the office, Lam headed to his working corner. This is exactly what Lam likes about the company he works for. At least he will have a morning cup of coffee before starting work, which he thinks is the habit of adults. Most importantly, you can use it for free. Lam's company is mostly young people. The dynamism and comfort at work is a top priority. Among his new colleagues, Lam especially noticed one. That colleague was the person who was in the seat of the recruitment council the day he went for the interview, also the one who helped him when he was asked about his work experience, an old, familiar, and possible question. Meet anywhere, this job prioritizes experience. Do you have experience to work? Lam calculated, shaking his head, because he was a fresh graduate. He couldn't use the experience of working part-time at restaurants or handing out flyers to meet the experience the recruiters were waiting for. Just when Lam was struggling, a saying came from the recruiters, which became Lam's belief in many later interviews: I agree that we can ask for experience. But if we want to have experience, don't we still need a job first? Lam was impressed and very grateful to that young man, who he later learned was named Min. Lamb leaned back in the small swivel chair, rearranging the desk. It was past 4:30 in the afternoon, and his heart was troubled after a phone call in the early afternoon from his mother, telling him that his younger brother had to be hospitalized with a high fever. "I still haven't found the cause. I have to stay in bed and monitor, but my mother doesn't know if my family has enough money to pay the hospital fees for me." Lamb understood that her mother did not say the most important thing. She did not ask him if he still had money to send back, because she understood Lamb's situation and thoughts, just as Lamb understood himself. "I'll try to arrange some money. I'm not available right now, but I'll arrange it, don't worry," Lamb said, then hung up. He sighed softly, not knowing what to do. In the Lamb of the present, full of chaos and sadness. Before leaving, Lamb left the table for 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. When he returned, he saw on the table a small envelope containing some money, along with a very brief note: "Sorry, I overheard the phone call. Looks like you're having a problem. Send it back to take care of your brother first. If you have it, give it back to me later." Lamb looked around. Min was no longer in the office. At that time, he couldn't think of anything. He couldn't explain what was happening, as well as Min's actions when he overheard him having difficulty. For a long time, Lamb still regularly received Min's help in work, and also in life. Min shared many stories with Lamb, and Lamb gradually opened his heart to Min, a close colleague. Of course, Lamb only dares to think of Min as a close colleague, although sometimes Min's concern makes Lamb think a lot. There are things Lamb wants to hide, even to hide from himself. Those are feelings about something that transcends the boundaries of his colleague's feelings for Min. This affection grew, to the point that Lamb had to find a way to avoid meeting Min so as not to disturb the life purpose that he had set for himself. He just wanted a stable job, a stable income, a stable life. In the company, no one knows Lamb is gay. Lamb also does not know if Min is also a homosexual or not. He has never shown anything enough for Lamb to judge. Only the care and sharing he has for him seems to be much greater than that of other colleagues. Occasionally, he brings his concerns to a confidant fan page called Confession, which translates into Vietnamese as confession. He likes channels like this, because there Lamb can find many private stories of people like him, people who carry a vague and unpredictable emotion. When we become disengaged from the world around us, it can be really meaningful to talk to strangers who have the patience to listen to us right now. Someone advised him to speak up. Some people think that keeping that feeling to himself will be better for his future. When receiving attention, Lamb felt comforted. But he still didn't know which was the right choice. In love, the timidity of youth is always present. This is very normal. However, if we get too used to timidity, it turns into speculation, self-doubt, guilt. The line between yes and no is like a thin thread. The more we think about the thread, the more likely we are to miss our own opportunities. Lamb understands the trauma of the past. He dodged the questions, and didn't dare to come up with the answers himself. Until one day, Lamb received a message from Min at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He invited him to drink. This is the first time Min took the initiative to ask him to go somewhere outside the company. The uncertainties about the vague feelings in Lamb have lasted for a long time. He wanted to take this opportunity to find a way to explain. Borrowing a bit of yeast is okay. Even though he thought so, Lamb still hesitated and considered. Before he could ask, there was an answer. Min is not gay, nor has he ever had feelings for Lamb. The help he has given Lamb so far has been inherently just the way he treats any coworker he feels the need to help. Especially after the moment he learned about Lamb's family situation. Lamb understood all of the above when listening to Min tell his story. The girl he loves is still stuck in his old love. She just wants to face it alone, not with him. Lamb people are lighthearted, not knowing if it is because they have removed all the questions that have tormented them, or because there is no longer anything vague to cling to and put their trust in, even for a moment. Lamb also longs to be loved. No matter how much he hid, he couldn't deny the budding love. To this day, even if he understood everything, he couldn't immediately dispel his feelings. Suddenly Lamb felt very lucky, because he didn't have the courage to confess. Fortunately, there was an answer before it was too late. Lucky to have had the opportunity to know and be friends with men. When young, few people avoid being touched by a person because the other person has treated them special. And so is the gap between hundreds of questions about love that need answers. Sometimes, the obvious answer is not necessarily what makes us truly satisfied. There are many things we need to learn to accept. Lamb knows that. Although he has never been happy because of love, he understands that he has discovered a lot of new things after being touched once. Lamb feels satisfied with the present. When the sun just went out, Min quickly stood up. "I just received a message," he said. "I'll go first," she texted me. "You can sit and drink, I've already paid. I'll see you another day longer." Watching Min's shadow gradually disappear, Lamb just sat quietly like that. He didn't drink anymore, but he wasn't in a hurry to leave either. There is no one to wait but to hurry. The sky in Saigon this afternoon was inherently not blue. Lamb looked around, suddenly found himself in the middle of the bustling space of a weekend afternoon. He thought about the past, the times when he was unstable and settled, the lives that had become sleeping memories. Lamb sighed and smiled. It will soon be peaceful again. At least, after all, Lamb still has a job, still has a family, which is a reason to keep trying. His love for you has never been perfect. One more break, it's not worth it. Can't say, or doesn't need to say, what forces you to think and find the most annoying? To me, it's all the same. Youth is the age with many emotional vibrations. Want to say many things, also want to achieve many things. But you also know that it's not always easy to get what you want. Right? The time when we are more emotionally mature is when we clearly distinguish between what we want and what we need. Instead of speaking out, we choose to be silent, then smile and be satisfied with our choice. So, stay calm and give your youth time.